What's up? Sorry, that was kind of creepy. Welcome to my Q&A. So I got some really good questions from you guys, and I can't wait to jump right in and answer those for you. Let me stop wasting your time. Let's go ahead and start with the first one. So the first question is, how long have you been making music? So I've been making music for a long time, but I started producing music right after college. Graduated from OU, December 17, started an FL Studio. Shout out to my guy Brian for hooking me up with one of his FL licenses and started making beats in there. I was trash. My beats sucked. You know, my family lied to me. They said that my beats were good, but they weren't. I'm looking at all of you. Yes, they were not good. But yeah, so I will say that my melodies were really good in FL Studio, and they still, I think, were better in FL Studio than they are in Ableton. And honestly, it's probably because of FL Studio's piano roll. I love Ableton, but the FL Studio piano roll to this day is untouchable. As far as music, I started when I was like 9 years old, started playing the drums. That was my first instrument. Played in the church. My dad taught me how to play the drums. And then when I got to middle school, I signed up for percussion. That's when I started learning like music theory and stuff like that. Then when I got to high school, I played on the drum line. So I played the fourth bass freshman year. Then I played second bass sophomore and junior year. And then I played the snare drum senior year. And then I played the bass again, second bass at OU for 2 years. And it stopped after that. But yeah, so that's how long I've been making music, playing music, whatever. Been producing for about 5 years now. 5 years and some. So here's a little tidbit. My dad had FL Studio like 5 or 6 when I was growing up. And I actually made my first beat ever when I was like 10. I don't know. I forgot how old I was. Anyway, FL Studio 5 or 6. The beat again sucked because it was my first beat ever. But yeah, I thought I should probably add that in here. The next question is, do you prefer making beats for artists or remixes and mashups? Ooh, that's a really good question. I'd probably have to say that I like making beats that could be for artists more than making remixes and mashups, only because I feel like I'm able to be more creative that way. I still love making remixes and mashups, and low-key, I've always since I don't even know when, I've always mixed songs in my head. Like I'll be walking around doing whatever and I'll be thinking of a song, and then all of a sudden another song plays in my head and they just go together. And so I was like, instead of keeping this idea in my head, why not just make remixes and mashups? So that's where that came from. I think I'm gonna start back up with that. I do miss it, so maybe more coming your way. Stay tuned. The next question is, what is your next big goal? Ooh, child. So I have a lot of goals for music, but the first big goal that comes to mind that I'm comfortable sharing would probably be to collab with more producers and musicians on like YouTube and Instagram, or locally really. I'm an introvert, so I don't really like going out and getting the ball rolling. So I'm gonna try to change that soon, because honestly, my collab beats sound really good. They actually sound sometimes better than the beats that I make by myself. So yeah, if you're in the DFW area, or if you know producers in the DFW area who like collabing, hit me up. Let's make some music, let's cook up. Talking to you. Oh, this is funny, bro. Okay, I keep getting this question and I feel so bad. But the question is, when are you gonna upload that No Worries Where I Go remix to SoundCloud? Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I never finished that remix / mashup. And here's why. So I started with Her's verse and I was like, you know what, this would sound really good with Focus by her. So I mixed it together and it sounded great. It sounded cool. But after that, I kind of just got distracted and never finished it. So I plan on finishing it. You know, a lot of people are asking for it. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to upload the finished product at the end of the summer. No promises, but I'm gonna try to do that for y'all. What's your favorite part about making beats? I like planting. So I'd say putting the seeds in the soil is probably my favorite part of making beats. This is gonna sound really corny, but my favorite part about making beats is probably the entire process. I used to hate mixing and mastering because it took me so long to figure out why my beats didn't sound like the beats on the radio or my homies' beats or well-known producers. Like, it just was not slapping. Now that I think about it, I think mixing might be my favorite part now because, one, it took me so long to really grasp the importance of mixing. And now that I understand it, me and mixing are cool now, you know? We're vibing. I'm not a pro at it, but just the process of adding automation or adding ear candy, leveling, and all of that to make your beat come to life is a really fun process at the end of the day. It sets your beats apart when you know how to mix. So yeah, I would say mixing is my favorite part of the beat making process. All right, I'm gonna do two more. Okay, next question is, you being an innovative inventor with technology, what are your goals in music technology? That's a good question. So I don't really have any music and tech related goals right now, but I would say that I'd like to get back into making MIDI controllers. I don't know if you guys have watched my studio tour, but I kind of went into detail on the MIDI controller. I'll put like a picture here of it on the screen. But I went into detail on how I made it, and the process was really, really fun. There aren't a lot of MIDI controllers that can do that on the market right now. So I guess my next goal would be to make MIDI controllers again, and two, to make maybe like a MIDI controller that's accessible to people who can't really use your standard MIDI controllers, like people with accessibility issues and things like that. I can't think of anything right now that could be useful, but honestly, that would be a pretty dope project. So yeah. Do you have any mixing tips, particularly for those who want to graduate from the car test? Like I was saying before, mixing took me forever to grasp and like really kind of semi-master. Still not a pro at it, but I have a few tips that can get you started on graduating from that car test. The first thing, and the one thing that really changed the game for my mixing, was switching between stereo and mono when mixing. A lot of my beats used to be way too reverby, like there was too much reverb on my tracks and stuff like that. My beats lost their punchiness. So make sure that you check the mix in mono and make sure it sounds good enough in mono to where whenever you finally open it up in stereo, it sounds good. You know what I mean? Like if it doesn't sound decent in mono, it's probably gonna fall apart in stereo. Yeah, just make sure that the reverb isn't muddying up other tracks. Another tip, make sure that you're gain staging properly, because the last thing you want is, okay, let's say you're chilling in the car and you turn the music down and you try to talk to your friends, and all you hear is like a really loud hi-hat or a really loud snare. You're not gonna be paying attention to it because you're talking to your friends, but in the back of your head, I guarantee you're gonna be like, what is that? What is that noise? So try to gain stage and turn down your mix. Try to gain stage with a low volume, and once you bring it up, everything will sound more cohesive and stuff like that. So the last tip I have for you, if you're making beats for artists, would be to try to leave headspace in the mix, because if your beat is too loud from the get-go and your artist is like in the studio trying to write lyrics to your beat or whatever, they're gonna feel like they don't have room in the beat to do anything. But yeah, just make sure that there's some space for them to like freestyle and eventually put their artistry in the beat, which, you know, makes it a song and stuff like that. So let me expand on this by saying, if there's no room for the artist, your beat will have to compromise by getting EQ'd or compressed like hell, which in turn could cause your beat to lose a bit of its character. Also, if you know the frequency range of your artist's voice, try to leave some space in your beat for them to sit in that pocket. Hopefully those help you. I know mixing can be kind of hard, so take your time. Don't be too hard on yourself. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you for tuning into this Q&A, and this might be my last time in this wonderful studio that my dad has let me use for the time being. So take it all in, you know? It's a very special place, I know. You're gonna be sad. I'm gonna be sad too. I'll see you next time, and you might see me in my new spot. So until then, I'll talk to you guys later.